The night was quiet inside the human colony station. Machines hummed, lights flickered, and the long halls seemed empty. Only one man walked there. Daniel, a tired worker who fixed machines and cleaned the storage decks. He was not rich, not powerful, just an ordinary human among hundreds, but tonight, something waited for him that would change his life forever. Daniel bent down to collect some fallen tools. That was when his eyes caught a small glow under a bench. He frowned and pulled it out. It was not a tool, not a machine part. It was a small book, soft and glowing faintly as if it carried a secret inside. The cover was strange, made of alien fabric, smooth like water, but solid in his hands. A little symbol was carved on the front. A star broken into two. Daniel knew at once this did not belong to humans. He looked around, but the hall was empty. His heart beat faster. Why would such a thing be lying here, forgotten, in the open? He should have left it. He should have reported it to the officers, but something inside whispered to him. Open it. His hands trembled as he turned the first page. The writing was delicate, small letters glowing faintly. At first he thought he could not read it, but somehow the words shaped themselves into human language in his mind. It was a diary, and it belonged to someone very young. The first line made him freeze where he stood. My dream is impossible, the alien girl had written, but I will still write it here, even if nobody ever sees, even if nobody cares. Daniel swallowed hard. He turned another page. The diary spoke of hunger, loneliness, and silent tears. It spoke of someone living in shadows, someone who served humans but was never seen as equal. The words were simple but heavy. They carried pain, but also hope. A hope that felt fragile, ready to break at any moment. He read about her days, how she cleaned halls and carried heavy loads, how humans passed by without looking at her face. She wrote about how she hid her voice, how she never dared to speak her dream aloud, because if she did, they would laugh at her or worse, punish her. Daniel's hands tightened around the book. Who was this girl? Why did her pain feel so real, so close? He had never thought about the alien workers in the colony. They were always in the background, silent, invisible, forgotten. But now, through these words, one of them was alive before his eyes. Then came the line that burned into his mind. My dream is to see my home again, to fly among the stars, even if just once, even if it kills me. Daniel's breath caught. It was such a simple dream. To fly, to see her world. But the way she wrote it made it sound impossible. Impossible, because she was poor, powerless, and trapped. Impossible because nobody cared enough to help her. He shut the diary quickly, his heart racing. He should not be reading this, it was private, too private. But at the same time, he could not stop. The book felt alive, calling him back to its pages. A sound echoed in the hall. Daniel stiffened and hid the diary behind his back. A shadow passed. At the end of the corridor, a human officer maybe, or someone else. When the sound faded, he slowly pulled the diary out again. His hands shook, but his eyes were hungry for the words inside. Each page pulled him deeper into her secret world. Each sentence felt like a voice whispering directly into his mind. The alien girl was not just poor, not just lonely. She was invisible to everyone, except now to him. Through her words, she reached out across the silence, and Daniel, without meaning to, had answered. He closed the diary finally, holding it. Tight to his chest, a strange feeling grew inside him. Guilt, sorrow, and something else he could not name. This girl's dream was impossible. Yes. But a question burned in his heart. Did it have to stay impossible? As he walked back to his quarters, the glowing book hidden under his jacket, he knew one thing for certain. His life had just crossed a line. He had opened a door that could never be closed again, and somewhere in the shadows of the colony, an alien girl was searching for her missing diary, her heart already breaking with the fear of what might happen if someone found it. She had no idea a human now held her secret dream, and he could not let it go. Daniel could not sleep that night. The diary lay under his bed, glowing faintly through the thin cover. Every time he closed his eyes, the girl's words returned to him. Her voice was soft in his mind, almost like a whisper. My dream is impossible. To fly among the stars, even once. He turned again on his bunk. He told himself to forget, to leave it where he found it. But the truth was clear. He did not want to forget. Something about her pain had entered his chest and refused to leave. Next morning, Daniel walked through the busy colony halls. Humans rushed about, soldiers barked orders, machines roared, and in the middle of it all, silent and unseen, moved the alien workers. They carried crates, scrubbed floors, fixed broken pipes. Not one human stopped to speak to them. Not one even looked at their faces. Daniel's eyes searched among them. Then he saw her. A thin alien girl with gray-blue skin and tired eyes. Her head bowed as she pushed a heavy cart. Her hands trembled. But she did not slow down. She moved as if she wanted to disappear, and Daniel knew deep inside that this was the owner of the diary. He almost called out, but stopped himself. What could he say? How could he tell her he had read her secret world? No. He would watch for now. He would learn more before he spoke. Later that evening, Daniel opened the diary again. Her words pulled him in. She wrote about the humans, how their laughter felt like thunder she could never join. She wrote about hunger that made her bones ache, and about small stolen moments. Moments when she looked at the stars through a crack in the ceiling and dreamed she was free. I know it will never happen, she wrote. But if I could see my home, if I could fly just once, my soul would not feel so heavy. Daniel's hands tightened around the pages. Her dream was so simple, yet the universe had made it a mountain she could never climb. Why, he wondered, did humans build walls so high around someone so gentle? The next day, he passed her again in the corridor. She was cleaning a metal panel, her hands raw and red. For the first time, he looked directly at her. She glanced up, startled, as if no human had ever truly seen her before. Her eyes widened, then quickly dropped to the floor. She worked faster. Afraid, Daniel felt a sting of shame. Humans had made her believe she was invisible. That night, the diary revealed more. She wrote of her family. Gone in the war. She wrote of her people's homeworld. Burned, broken, stolen. She wrote of her silence, how she had not spoken her native song in years, because if she did, she feared humans would punish her. One line made Daniel's throat tighten. Sometimes, I wonder if I am real, if anyone will remember I was here, if anyone will care when I'm gone. He closed the book quickly, his chest heavy. He had to breathe. He had to walk outside. The night air in the colony was thin, recycled, almost tasteless. But to Daniel it felt like fire in his lungs. He thought about his own childhood, how he once dreamed of becoming a star pilot, how his teachers had laughed, saying he was too poor, too average, too small, and how with time he had buried that dream. Now here was this girl, carrying the same fire in her heart, but hers was trapped in chains far stronger than his had ever been. Daniel could not explain why, but he felt a bond with her. It was as if her words had unlocked a part of him he thought was long dead. The more he read, the more he saw not an alien, not a servant, but a soul like his own. One evening he saw her again. She walked slowly, tired, holding a broken broom. She looked around nervously as if searching for something. Then Daniel realized she was searching for her diary. Panic flashed across her face, her steps quickened. She whispered something in her own tongue, a sound filled with fear. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to step forward, to tell her he had it, but his voice froze in his throat. What if she hated him for reading it? What if she never trusted him again? He stood in the shadows, watching her disappear into the dark halls, the diary heavy in his jacket, her secret still burning in his chest. That night he opened it one more time. He reached a page he had not seen before, and there, in small, trembling letters, she had written, "If anyone ever finds this, please do not laugh. Please do not tell. Just let me dream, even if it kills me. Daniel closed his eyes. Her voice was no longer just words on a page. It was alive. It was inside him. And deep inside, a decision began to form. He would not laugh. He would not betray. He would listen. And maybe, just maybe, he would help, but he did not yet know the price nor the danger that was already beginning to circle around them both. Daniel could not run forever. Sooner or later he had to face her. The diary was not his, and every page he read tied his heart closer to the alien girl. Her pain lived inside him now, and with each passing day, his guilt grew heavier. The chance came one quiet evening. The storage hall was almost empty, shadows stretching across the floor. She was there, kneeling with a rag, scrubbing oil from the wall. Her hands shook, her body thin, her eyes tired. Daniel stood at the corner, the diary hidden inside his jacket. He swallowed hard, his throat dry. Then he stepped forward. She looked up quickly, fear flashing in her eyes. Her shoulders tensed as if expecting a blow. Daniel froze, seeing the terror. He raised his hands, slowly, showing he carried no weapon. I found something, he whispered, his voice soft. Her eyes narrowed, her breath caught. He pulled out the diary, holding it carefully like fragile glass. I believe this is yours, he said. The girl gasped, stumbling to her feet. Her hands reached forward but stopped halfway. Her eyes were wide with panic. Please, she whispered, her voice thin and shaking. Give it back. Daniel stepped closer and offered it, but her fear did not fade. Instead, tears filled her eyes. You read it, she said quietly, her voice breaking. It was not a question. It was the truth. Daniel felt shame burn his skin. Yes, he admitted. I read it, but I did not laugh. I did not mock you. I swear. She shook her head, backing away. You should not have seen it. You will tell the others. They will laugh. They will punish me. Her words cracked like glass, filled with terror. Daniel shook his head quickly. No, never. I will not tell anyone, not a word. For a long moment, silence hung between them. The hall was cold. The machines hummed in the distance. Daniel held the diary out again. Finally, with trembling fingers, she took it back. She clutched it close to her chest, as if guarding her very soul. Her breath came fast, her eyes wet. But something inside her shifted, a spark of doubt, a question. Why, she whispered. Why give it back when you could destroy me? Daniel swallowed hard, searching for words. Because your dream matters, he said softly. Because no one should live unseen. Her lips parted in shock. No human had ever spoken to her like this. For the first time, she looked at him, fully. Her eyes were dark pools of pain and wonder. In them, Daniel saw not an alien, not a servant, but a person who had been buried under silence too long. She lowered her gaze again, clutching the diary tighter. Her voice trembled. You don't understand. My dream is impossible. It will only bring trouble. Daniel stepped closer, his tone steady. Maybe, but it is still yours, and it is worth something. She blinked, shocked at his stubborn kindness. Then, slowly, almost unwillingly, she whispered, My name is Lyra. Daniel felt a warmth spread through him. It was the first piece of trust she had given. Lyra, he repeated softly, letting the name rest in the air. Her lips curved into the smallest of smiles, fragile and uncertain for the first time. Her voice no longer carried only fear. For the first time she had been seen over the next days, their paths crossed again. At first their words were few, only small exchanges. He asked if she had eaten. She answered with a nod. He warned her. When guards were near, she whispered thanks. Slowly, the wall between them cracked. Her fear did not vanish, but it bent. And beneath it, Daniel saw the person hiding inside. One evening, in a quiet corner of the storage bay, she spoke of her homeworld. Her voice was soft, broken but filled with longing. She described oceans that glowed with silver light, mountains that sang when the wind passed, and skies where 3 moons danced together. Her eyes shone as she spoke, as if her heart escaped its cage for a moment. Daniel listened, silent, his chest heavy with both sorrow and wonder. Then she fell quiet, her gaze dropping. "It is gone now," she whispered. "I will never see it again." Daniel clenched, his fists, anger rising, not at her but at the cruelty of the universe. "You don't know that," he said firmly. Lyra shook her head, bitter. "No, humans never let us dream. They laugh, they break us, they forget us." Her words cut deep. Daniel leaned forward, his voice steady. "I am not them." Lyra stared at him, unsure, her lips trembling. Her eyes searched his face for mockery, for hidden cruelty. But she found none, only quiet determination. Something in her chest softened, though fear still lingered. "You are strange," she whispered. "A human who listens." Daniel smiled faintly. "Maybe strange is what we need," he said, for the first time. Her small laugh broke the silence, weak but real. It was a fragile sound, a spark of life where there had been only sorrow. That night, as Daniel walked back to his quarters, he felt the weight of a decision settle inside him. He had seen her pain, her world, her dream, and now he knew one truth with burning clarity. He would not stand aside. He would not let her dream die, even if it was impossible, even if it cost him everything. In the shadows, a silent friendship had begun, and with it, a storm was waiting to rise. Daniel could no longer ignore the fire inside him. Each word from Lyra's diary echoed in his mind. Each glance at her tired face tightened his chest. Her dream was impossible, yes, but it was also pure. And Daniel knew he could not let it die. That night, he sat alone in his quarters, the lights dim, the colony hum silent. He pulled out a scrap of paper and began to draw. Small plans, rough, sketches of ships, codes, hangar maps. He was only a worker, not a pilot, not a leader. But he knew machines, he knew systems, and he believed with enough courage, he could find a way. The first step was simple, gather tools. But even that was dangerous. Workers were searched, storage was watched. Daniel had to move carefully, taking small things at a time. A loose bolt here, a wire there. Nothing large enough to be noticed. Yet every piece mattered. The second step was harder. Access to leave the colony. They would need codes for the hangar. Those codes were guarded by officers, locked inside systems Daniel was never meant to touch. But he had spent years repairing those systems. He knew where the cracks were. He knew which terminals flickered, which doors clicked wrong. If he was brave enough, he could slip through. Each night Daniel's plan grew, and each day his fear grew too. He could lose his job, his freedom, even his life. But when he looked at Lyra, pushing her cart with quiet strength, he knew the risk was worth it. Her dream was worth more than his safety. One evening, he found her again in the storage bay. She looked at him with wary eyes. He lowered his voice and said, "Lyra, I want to help." Her face hardened, her hands tightening around her broom. "Help," she whispered. "No one helps us, not without a price." Daniel shook his head. "No price, only a promise. Your dream will not die." She stared at him in silence. Her lips trembled, her eyes glistened. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Humans are watched, but we are hunted. If you try, they will destroy us both." Daniel met her gaze firmly. "Then let them try," he said. Her breath caught. For a moment her fear broke, and beneath it was a flicker of hope. She turned away, clutching her diary, but her voice was softer now. "Dreams kill people, Daniel. Don't let them kill you." That night, Daniel began the real work. He studied the hangar from afar, watching the guards, timing their steps. He traced the shift changes, the lights that flickered, the moments of weakness. He memorized the code terminals. He learned which officer left his card careless on the desk. Every detail became a thread in his plan, but danger moved closer with each step. One officer, a broad man named Cray, noticed Daniel's late hours. "Why are you always here, worker?" Cray asked one evening, his eyes sharp. Daniel forced a tired smile. "Machines break. Often, sir. Someone has to keep them alive." Cray grunted, but his gaze lingered. Suspicion planted itself in his mind. Daniel told himself to be careful, but his hands still gathered parts. His mind still raced with plans, because Lyra's face would not. "Leave him." Because her voice still whispered, "My dream is impossible." And he wanted to answer, "Not anymore." One night he carried a small pack of wires under his jacket. As he turned a corner, he almost collided with Lyra. Her eyes widened, her gaze dropping to the bulge under his coat. "What are you doing?" she whispered in shock. Daniel pulled her into a shadowed corner. "I'm building a way out," he said firmly. Her face went pale. "No, Daniel. Stop. Please stop." Her voice shook with fear, not anger. "They will kill you. They will kill me." Daniel placed his hand gently on hers. "Then let me die trying instead of living blind." Her tears fell. She shook her head, whispering, "You're foolish. You're stubborn." But her grip on his hand tightened, as if a part of her wanted to believe, as if a part of her had waited for someone to be foolish enough to care. When she left that night, Daniel stood alone, the pack of wires heavy in his jacket, his chest burning with both fear and determination. The plan was dangerous, reckless, maybe impossible, but he would see it through, because her dream had become his own. In the shadows, Officer Cray watched from a distance, his eyes narrowing. Something was not right with this worker. Something was being hidden, and Cray swore he would find out. Daniel did not see him. He only saw the stars beyond the glass ceiling, cold and far, unreachable. But he whispered to himself, "Soon, Lyra, soon you will fly." And deep in the heart of the colony, the dangerous plan had begun. The colony was not safe anymore. Daniel felt eyes on him at every turn. Guards lingered longer near the hangar. Officers spoke in hushed tones when he passed. And always, in the corner of his vision, was Officer Cray, watching, waiting. Daniel tried to act normal. He fixed machines, carried tools, nodded when spoken to. But his heart raced each time he slipped a stolen part into his pocket. The dangerous plan was growing. But so was the risk. Lyra saw the change too. She worked in silence. Yet her eyes darted often. She whispered to Daniel one night in the shadows, "Someone knows." Her voice trembled. Her hands clutched her diary tight. "I can feel it. Someone follows you." Daniel shook his head firmly. "Don't worry. I will handle it." But inside, doubt gnawed at him. Then came the night it all collapsed. Daniel returned to his quarters to find the door open, his pack of wires gone, his sketches missing. On the table lay only a single note, written in harsh letters. "We are watching you." His blood ran, cold. He hid the note quickly, but he knew the truth. Someone had betrayed him. Someone had reported his strange movements. Someone wanted him caught. The next day, Cray stopped him in the corridor. The officer's smile was thin, sharp. "You work late, Daniel," he said. "Machines must love you more than people do." Daniel forced a laugh. "Machines don't complain, sir." Cray's eyes narrowed. "Maybe, but they don't lie either." Then he walked away, leaving Daniel's heart pounding. That night, Daniel met Lyra in the storage bay. He told her everything, the missing parts, the warning note, Cray's words. Her face paled, tears filling her eyes. "This is my fault," she whispered. "If you hadn't found my diary, you would be safe." She turned away, shaking. "Stop, Daniel, please stop. I would rather lose my dream than lose you." Daniel stepped closer, his voice low, urgent. "No, Lyra, this is not your fault. This world is cruel. But your dream is not the crime. Their blindness is," but she shook her head, clutching her diary. "You don't understand. Humans will never forgive. If they catch you, they will destroy you." Her voice cracked. "I cannot let you throw your life away for me." For the first time, anger flared in Daniel's chest. Dreams are not crimes, he said sharply. Dreams are what make us alive. Without them, we are already dead. Lyra's breath caught, her eyes shining with both fear and hope. You sound like someone who believes in miracles, she whispered. Daniel held her gaze. Maybe I do. Silence filled the hall, heavy and fragile. Then slowly Lyra's hand reached out. She placed the diary into his palm. If you truly mean it, she whispered, then keep this safe. It is all I am, all I have left. Daniel closed his hand around the diary, his heart burning. I will protect it, and I will protect you. But shadows moved faster than hope. That same night, Cray reported to his superiors. He spoke of suspicious activity, of stolen parts, of whispered meetings. The officers dismissed him at first, but Cray's eyes gleamed with hunger. He promised he would catch Daniel himself. The next day, the colony gates tightened. Extra guards patrolled the hangar. Cameras blinked awake in the corridors. Lyra's face grew pale each time she saw them. Her hands shook as she scrubbed the floors, she whispered. It is over, we are trapped. But Daniel's resolve only sharpened. He leaned close to her, his voice steady. No, not trapped. Tested. Every wall is only another chance to break through. Lyra shook her head, tears running down her cheeks. You are stubborn, human, stubborn and foolish. But even as she said it, her lips trembled with something new, a fragile spark of faith. That night, Daniel sat awake with the diary open on his lap. He read her words again, the lines filled with hunger and longing. My dream is impossible, she had written. But Daniel whispered to the pages, no, Lyra, your dream is alive. It will not die, not while I breathe. In the darkness, hope burned like a small flame, weak, surrounded by shadows, yet unbroken. Daniel knew betrayal was close. He knew danger was rising. But he also knew this. He would not stop. Because her dream was no longer only hers. It had become his as well. And somewhere in the silence of the colony, Cray prepared his trap, certain that soon the foolish human and the alien girl would be caught, certain their hope would break. But hope has a way of surviving even the sharpest betrayals, and Daniel was ready to prove it. The night was darker than usual inside the colony. Lights flickered weakly, shadows stretched across the steel walls. Daniel moved quickly, his heart beating like a drum. Every step felt louder than thunder. Every sound made him think a guard would appear. Beside him, Lyra walked silently. Her thin hands clutched the diary close to her chest. Her eyes darted around nervously. You should not do this, she whispered. Her voice shook with fear. It is madness, Daniel. We will die. Daniel looked at her firmly. Better to die chasing a dream than live without one, he said. Her lips trembled, but she said no more. They slipped through the lower corridors, past sleeping machines and silent doors. Daniel's stolen codes worked, one after another. Small locks clicked open, red lights turned green. Every click was victory. Every click was danger. Because if one code failed, if one door did not open, they would be trapped. At last, they reached the hangar. Through the wide window, Daniel saw ships resting in the cold light. Small transports, silver and sharp, waiting like silent beasts. Lyra's breath caught in wonder. She pressed her hand against the glass, her eyes wide. All my life, she whispered. I have watched them from afar. Her voice broke. I never thought I would stand this close. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. You will stand closer still, he said. They moved to the side door. Daniel swiped the stolen card. For a terrifying second, nothing happened. Then, beep. The light flashed green. The door hissed. Open! Lyra gasped softly, clutching his arm. They were inside. The hangar smelled of metal and oil. Shadows stretched across the floor. Daniel led her between the ships, hiding behind crates. Every second felt like a lifetime. Every breath was sharp with fear. Then, an alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Sirens screamed. Lyra froze, terror flooding her face. They know, she whispered. They know we are here. Daniel grabbed her hand, pulling her forward. Run, he shouted. Don't stop. Run. Footsteps thundered behind them. Voices barked orders. Stop! Stop them! Guards poured into the hangar, rifles raised. Daniel's chest burned as he dragged Lyra forward. Her breath came fast, tears streaming down her face, but she did not let go of his hand. They ducked behind a ship. Bullets sparked against the steel. Daniel pushed her down, shielding her with his body. We can't fight them, Lyra cried. No, Daniel said, his eyes burning. But we can fly. He yanked open a hatch on the nearest transport. The ladder clanged down. Climb, he shouted. Lyra hesitated, shaking her head. They will shoot us. Daniel grabbed her arm and pushed her up. They will shoot anyway if we stay. Lyra scrambled into the ship. Her hands trembling, Daniel followed, slamming the hatch shut. Bullets struck the door, but the metal held. Inside, the ship was dark. Panels glowed faintly, buttons waiting. Daniel slid into the pilot's seat. His hands shook as he touched the controls. He was no pilot, but he knew machines, and this was only another machine. The engines roared to life. The ship trembled, lights flashing. Outside, guards shouted in panic. Shut it down! Shut it down! The hangar doors remained locked. They would need to open them or the ship would burn inside. Daniel's fingers flew across the console. He entered codes, forced systems awake. The door lights flickered red. Lyra clutched the seat, her eyes wide with fear and hope. Please, she whispered. Please work. Daniel slammed one final button. The hangar doors groaned, metal grinding. Slowly, painfully, they began to open. Light from the stars poured into the hangar, cold and endless. It called to them like a song. Lyra gasped, tears spilling. Her dream was there, so close, but behind them the door burst open. Officer Cray stormed inside, his face twisted with rage. Stop, he roared. Stop them now. Guards fired, bullets ringing against the ship's hull. Daniel gritted his teeth, pushing the throttle. The ship lurched forward, shaking violently. The engines screamed. Fire lit the floor beneath them. Lyra's hand clutched his arm. Daniel, she cried. He only shouted back, Hold on! The ship raced across the hangar. Bullets sparked, alarms wailed. The stars grew larger, brighter, closer. Then, with a thunderous roar, the ship lifted off the ground. It shot through the widening doors, out into the cold black of space. For a heartbeat silence, Lyra pressed her face against the window. Her tears floated in the dim cabin light. The stars shone around her, endless and free. Her voice cracked as she whispered, I am flying. Daniel let out a shaky laugh, his chest burning with relief. But the moment did not last. Warning lights flashed red across the console. A loud alarm screamed through the cabin. Cray's voice echoed on the comm system. You cannot escape. Surrender now, or be destroyed. Daniel's smile faded, his jaw clenched. The escape had begun, but the battle was far from over. The ship shook as alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across the cabin. Daniel gripped the controls, his knuckles white. Behind them, colony ships rose in pursuit, their engines roaring like thunder. Cray's voice echoed again, sharp and merciless. You cannot run. Surrender now, or I will tear you from the sky. Lyra clutched the diary to her chest, her tears streaming. Her dream was so close, the stars so near, yet death followed close behind. She whispered, Daniel, we cannot win. But Daniel's eyes burned with fire. We do not need to win, Lyra, he said. We only need to fly. He pulled the controls. The ship spun sharply. Lasers fired, past them, lighting the dark void with red streaks. Metal rang as a shot grazed their wing. Lyra screamed, holding onto the seat. Daniel's jaw clenched. He forced the ship upward, weaving between the stars. The small vessel shook but held together. The chase grew desperate. Every move Daniel made was met with fire. Every second felt like borrowed time. He was no pilot, but his hands moved with wild instinct. Machines had always spoken to him. Now this ship seemed to hear his heart. Lyra leaned forward, pointing through the glass. There, Daniel, she cried. Beyond the belt, do you see? He looked, and his chest tightened. Through the field of stars lay a cluster of glowing lights. Not human colonies, not warships, but fragments of a broken world, shining softly in the dark. Her home, Lyra's, breath hitched. "That is all that is left of my world," she whispered. Her voice shook with both grief and joy. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He whispered back, "Then we will reach it, no matter the cost." Behind them, Kray's ship locked onto their tail, a missile armed, lights flashing. Daniel knew they could not outrun it, not forever. He took a deep breath, his mind racing. He thought of the diary, of Lyra's words, of his own childhood dream buried long ago, and he understood. "Lyra," he said, his voice steady. She turned to him, eyes wide. "If the ship breaks, if I cannot hold them back, you must keep flying." She shook her head violently. "No, Daniel, I cannot without you." He placed her hand on the controls. "You can, your dream belongs to you, not to me." Her tears fell harder. "No, you gave it life, you are part of it now." The alarm screamed louder. The missile drew closer. Daniel made his choice. He slammed a sequence into the console, rerouting power. The engines roared with unstable energy. The ship shuddered, as if tearing itself apart. "What are you doing?" Lyra cried. Daniel met her gaze with a faint smile. "Buying you a miracle?" The ship surged forward with impossible speed. The missile fired, chasing their trail. At the last moment, Daniel yanked the controls. The ship spun violently. The missile clipped the wing and exploded behind them. Fire and smoke filled the Tiao. Cabin alarms wailed, but they were still flying, still alive. Kray's furious voice roared across the comm. "You will not escape. You are only a worker, nothing more." Daniel's teeth clenched, his voice cut through the static. "Then remember this, Kray, even workers can change the sky." The comm fell silent. Behind them, Kray's ship struggled in the blast wave. For one brief moment, they were free, the real. Stars opened before them. Lyra pressed her face to the glass, sobbing softly. Her world, broken but still glowing, drifted closer. She whispered through her tears, "I never thought I would see it again." Daniel, bleeding from a cut on his brow, smiled weakly. "But you did, Lyra, you made the impossible real." She turned to him, her eyes filled with light. "No, Daniel, you did." Her voice shook. "No one ever believed, no one ever cared, until you." Her hand gripped his tightly. "For the rest of my life, I will carry your courage with me." Daniel leaned back, exhausted. Pain seared through his body, but peace filled his heart. He had risked everything, and it had been worth it, because in that moment, Lyra's smile was brighter than all the stars. The ship drifted closer to the glowing fragments. Lyra opened her diary with trembling hands. She wrote with tears falling onto the page. "My dream was impossible, but tonight I flew. Tonight I touched the stars because a human saw me and believed." She closed the diary and pressed it to her chest. Daniel's eyes fluttered, his strength fading. But his smile remained. For he had given her what no one else would. He had given her a chance. And in that silent sky among the ruins of her world, her impossible dream came true.